Okay, for the first time in 69 years. Nice! A Canadian has won the Canadian Open.
Wow.
Nick Taylor bearing a 72-footer for eagle.
Wow.
Caw-caw! On the fourth playoff hole. Oh my God, 3 of those playoff holes were 18, which is one of the worst holes in golf. And it's like, we get it. You played this hole already. It sucks. Anywho, he knocked off Tommy Fleetwood, claiming his 3rd career victory. And then moments later, Adam Hadwin was flattened by security. Did you see that?
But to be fair, I mean,
I don't think he was wearing his badge.
Yeah, so.
But he was spraying champagne everywhere, and it's like, damn you, Adam.
Yeah.
This is golf, not a rock concert.
Yeah.
Anywho, what's up, people? Welcome to The Sweat, presented by DraftKings. Jesse Cofield, Emerson Latzia. Yes, we will dish out some NBA and NHL picks coming up in this show. But first, it is U.S. Open week, baby, which is why we have DraftKings contributor Jeff Ulrich and DK Nation's Colin Sherwin here to talk about it.
And before we do that, Jeff, congratulations. A fellow Canadian just won your national championship.
Yes.
So is this like front page news in your neck of the woods, which would be, Canada?
It's very front page news in my neck of the woods. It's not front page news in my house because I bet Tommy Fleetwood to win this event, but I still very much enjoyed Nick Taylor winning it in what is, he sunk the longest putt of his career to win the Canadian Open. I don't even, you're sitting in a writer's studio trying to dream up a movie for a golf movie. It's too outlandish. That's not going to happen. Nick Taylor absolutely deserves all the accolades, was very stoic in the playoff. An amazing accomplishment, to be honest. A Canadian, we saw Mike Weir melt down against BJ Singh in 2009. People who saw that remember that. It was a bad loss for Canada that day. Nick Taylor just made up for it. Really, really deserving win. And look, shout out to Tommy Fleetwood. Yeah, he made some mistakes, but he was there. He led the field in strokes gained putting. His time's coming. Maybe a little Hoylake action, the Open Championship in July.
Couldn't bury the easiest putts of the tournament when it
this.
mattered most. Ridiculous, Jeff. Grow up.
Yeah, Colin, it's still front page news even though we're in America.
Well, hey, I'm Canadian too, so I'm just as excited as
that's not true.
as the rest of them.
Calling from
You're
us.
Florida, man.
That's right. So, amazing. This is the biggest sporting event in Canada in 30 years because they can't win the Stanley Cup. Look, this is fantastic. I thought it was truly fun to watch. A great playoff. Maybe if Tommy Fleetwood had spent more time on the putting greens, he did skip the meeting where the entire future of golf was being determined this week. He just decided to stay out there and work on his chipping and putting because he didn't want to have anything to contribute to the PGA Live merger. And even that wasn't enough to get him over the hump. So congratulations to Nick Taylor. He actually moved up a spot. So he actually opened up a spot in US Open for somebody else. So one of the alternates is now going to get in because of what he did. And look, Canada hasn't had a lot to cheer about as of late, except beyond the Raptors win, 5 years ago.
It's higher
this
interest
is the
rates,
biggest.
Colin. That's all we have to cheer around here.
This is it's been a rough go for Canada since Kawhi Leonard left. So this is probably the biggest sporting monument in the country in a long time.
Jeff, you kind of mentioned it already. Tommy Fleetwood was on your betting card. So on one side of the coin, yeah, you were supporting your fellow Canadian. But on the other side, the guy atop your betting card coming oh so close to winning his first PGA Tour event. Have we learned our lesson yet on backing the Englishman?
Look, if you had Tommy Fleetwood and you bet him pre-event, you had a very nice hedge opportunity. Nick Taylor at one point, when Tommy Fleetwood started the 18th hole, he was up to plus 300 in the live odds. That's what I did. I hedged out a little bit of action. So you could still have profited off the Tommy Fleetwood call. But you know what? You're not going to mention it, but I'll mention it. It was actually a really nice week. We had Adrian Moronic against Keith Mitchell. Keith Mitchell was terrible. We kept fading him. Brandon Wu scored the top 10 at plus 1,000. That was a terrific hit. Doug Gim missed out on the top 10 by just one shot as well. So all in all, it was actually a really good week for the betting card. You always want to see your guy get across the finish line. But if you are betting outright, in all seriousness, when you get in those situations, there's no harm in hedging out a little bit of money. So Tommy Fleetwood, if you had money on him, there was a great opportunity to get on Nick Taylor at plus 200, plus 300 even, and hedge out. And either way, you look at it, like I said, Tommy will get there eventually, and you'll eat crow one day, Mr. Latzia. But We'll just have to wait and bide our time.
And I want you to know I was going to get to the rest of your betting card.
Oh, okay.
Producer Drew laid out very positive notes here, but screw it, you already did that. Colin, should Jeff seek help for his nonstop backing of Tommy Fleetwood?
Tommy Fleetwood has as many wins as I do on the PGA Tour.
Yeah!
It's probably not a real good sign because I'm not even playing Monday qualifiers. So, I thought he played okay in the playoff. He definitely put some balls in the rough. The one, I think it was the second time they played 18. He went right. Put it in the stand, still managed to get up and down thanks to the free release drop of putting the ball practically in the clubhouse. Look,
he did not play
pressure.
18 well, Colin. You can say it.
I mean,
whatever it was about that hole, about the 18th hole, Tommy Fleetwood did not like that hole. He did not play it well. He did not manage it well. That was why he lost. I mean, we can say
He was going to the same spot every damn time they were on 18. Like, stop
terrible
hitting it
decision
there.
making at the end of regular. I don't know what he was doing when he was up there. All he needed to do was birdie in regulation to win. And he laid up on his second shot. You don't lay up on that hole.
No.
Nobody laid up on that hole except Tommy Fleetwood that week. So I don't know what he was doing. I really don't. As much as I love him, as much as I think he played amazing, I do not know what he was doing on the 18th hole.
Yeah, I'm seeing reports that his wife is filing for divorce after she witnessed her husband laying up.
That's not true.
Nobody lays up.
Emerson's making that up.
That was pretty bad. Like, that's the thing is, like, on these 18th greens on the PGA Tour, you've got all of the stands. Just hit the ball in the stands. You get the drop. Like, don't even worry about it. Just bomb it in there. You can't miss. Like, it's the biggest target ever. Take a 2-iron and just chop it out there.
Yeah.
I don't understand what he was doing either. I thought both of them played the par 3 really well. I would have liked to have seen the par 3 be the playoff hole instead of the 18 because it's just like a bad hole. It's just not a fun hole to close a tournament on. But Fleetwood will get there. Hoylake, I agree. Top 10 at Hoylake seems like a really good bet for him. He plays really well on that side of the world on links courses. Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. Well, we are going back to Cali. Okay. This year's third major. All right, teeing off this week, U.S. Open. Colin, is this like a welcome distraction from all the off-course chaos that's been going on lately? You know what I'm talking about.
I don't know, man. Like, I think these guys, these are all individual private contractors. As Tommy Fleetwood showed this week, like, you can just ignore all this stuff if you really want to and just go play golf. He literally didn't show up to the meeting. I'm stunned. Like, all he had to do was walk like 50 feet and find out what the future of golf was. And he just was like out on the chipping green. He's like, I didn't really want to be there. You're like, so I guess these guys, it's up to them if they want to, participate and be a part of that. Got people that have been active in it, like Rory McIlroy, maybe you could have like some sort of mental weight on them. But like, once you get on the first team, man, you're playing golf. And these guys are professionals. They've been doing it their entire lives. They know what they're doing. I don't think any of the off-course drama is going to be a factor at all this week. I am much more worried about the length of this course, some of these greens, and how they're going to set this thing up, because there's just so much range in how they can set the course up. Those are all 10 times the factor for me that PGA and LIV might be.
Yeah, Jeff, this is the first time the Los Angeles Country Club has hosted a professional golf tournament since 1940.
And Jeff, there are reports that the rough is in fact long.
It's the number 16 ranked course per Golf Digest. So highly anticipated debut here.
So it is the USGA setting it up. So yeah, the rough is going to be long, but it's a really, really interesting setup. Gil Hanse redesigned this place in 2010. They don't even let their members take pictures of the course and put it on social media. So you literally have never seen this course before. I'm sure you've maybe seen some sneak peeks somewhere, but I mean, this is one of the most secretest golf environments in the world. And by all accounts, this place looks extremely, extremely cool. The setup in terms of what you're going to see at a regular U.S. Open venue, it's going to be a little bit different. There's only one cut of rough here, and that's because just the way the course is set in the natural environment. There's these things Emerson and Jesse called barrancas or barrancas. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but they're little ditches and gullies that are filled with vegetation. And a lot of these fairways and greens are just going to roll off into these barrancas. And your lie is just what it is. So there's going to be one cut of rough. There's longer, wider fairways than normal at LA Country Club too. It's going to make it interesting. I think it's going to be a really, really good U.S. Open. I think it's going to be a little bit different than what we see at the traditional, the thick, rough, the lush country club venues. This is going to be a really cool, unique setting. I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a great venue and, potentially cause a little bit of chaos along the way, too.
Okay, well, in terms of excitement, not many of us were excited about Rory McIlroy entering the Canadian Open. I believe you and others, Jeff, were a hard fade on him. But how are we feeling about the Northern Irishman this week? So currently, you could see it on your screen, fourth best odds in the field, plus 1,400. Jeff, he's skipping his pre-tournament presser, was supposed to talk to the media tomorrow. That has been canceled, so maybe he's truly dialed in here.
That's perfect. That's really good news. I was just going to say, you need to take note of what players are out there wasting all this energy on this live PGA nonsense and who's just blocking it out, like Tommy Fleetwood did last week. Rory is interesting. I kind of came into the week just wanting to write him off, but I will say this. What did we see at Memorial? His odds finally drifted to the point where he is bigger in the outright number than Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele. He's plus 1,400 right now. It's the same odds as Cantlay. I'm going to wait and see. If this number gets to like plus 1,800, plus 2,000, I really think taking a shot with Rory McIlroy isn't the worst idea in the world. He's top 10. He top 10 at Memorial. He was in the mix for a bit at the Canadian Open. He's not that far off. He really just needs to dial in his wedges. He had some really good putting rounds. I think you take a wait and see approach on Rory. Let's see where his number's at on Wednesday. If it's bigger, I would have no problems really adding him to the card here.
All right, Colin, are you betting on McIlroy to show up and compete?
Yeah, Jeff's got the same handicapping strategy here I do. Rory was a plus 1,100 before yesterday's final round of the Canadian Open. So he's gone up to 14, which means nobody's putting money on him. He didn't play real well yesterday on Sunday. He's yet to be able to string 4 good rounds together. Yeah. You can see it. Like, he can put together 1 or 2, but he can't put together 4. This is U.S. Open. You're going to need to put together 4. His game certainly sets up well for a course like this that is super technical and super long. So I think, if as far as course management, I think he's right there. But can he put 4 together right now with everything? I mean, if there's one player the live stuff is going to bother, it's certainly this guy. Hey, you just missed out on $500 million. Sorry about that, buddy. Good luck this week. I don't know how it affects him or anybody else that he's flying across the country too. I mean, going from Toronto to LA on the short hop. I don't know. I would not take him at 14, but if he got into that 18-2,000 range, like, this guy can play, man. He's still one of the top 4 players in the world for sure.
And he's finished T9 or better in the last 4 U.S. Open starts.
Yeah. All right, how about Brooks? Where's he finishing this week? Can he claim back-to-back majors?
I don't know.
Mean, he has all the tools. We know that. He's confident. We know that. And most importantly, Colin, the man is healthy.
Oh, we know that.
Yeah, like, talk about having no pressure on you at this point. I mean, he proved it already. He went to the other tour. He won a major. He's just sort of free coasting here, and he's already won this thing twice. So for me, Brooks looks like, I mean, I don't like him at 1,100. I'm going to need a little bit better price than that to go ahead and fire on him. But I do think that he is certainly a player that will be in the mix this week. I would be stunned if he falls out of like a top 10. Top 10 Brooks at plus 125 does look pretty good. This course, I mean, obviously he's one of the longest players in all of golf. That won't be a problem for him. Where I think he might struggle is that some of these greens, like, we got to talk about this 11th green. It's a par 3. It's 290 yards. There's bunkers in the front. There's bunkers in the back, and it falls off 3 sides. Other than that, it's super easy. Holes like that, I don't care who you are, you're going to need to be able to make up and downs. You're going to need to be able to save. Can Brooks get the saves around the green? What's he going to be able to do inside of 30, 50 yards to get up and down and save himself some shots this week? That might be a bit of a struggle for him. And a lot of these holes, I think, are going to play that way. These pins, they're so tight. I mean, there's not a lot of green to work with here. You really got to hit a yardage. So I don't love him at 11, but like, if you got to like 14 or 15, yeah, I'd be in there.
All right, Jeff, how do we feel about Brooks?
I mean, I feel that just like Colin does, he's probably going to finish in the top 10. It's a U.S. Open setup. I mean, the rough is going to be lush. You're going to have to smash it off the tee and get your ball up high out of the thick stuff at some point. Brooks just does all that better than basically anyone except Jon Rahm. So it really just comes down to, if I was betting one of the top 3 players, I would just bet Scottie Scheffler this week. Scottie Scheffler is playing out of his absolute mind right now. Gaining 15 strokes tee to green each of his last 3 starts. I would rather just take a shot with him, even though he's plus 700. If Brooks was in the Rory range, just like Colin said, I would be fine thinking about it, but I just don't think there's enough difference between Scheffler and Koepka right now. Look, Scheffler has a bit of a course to history advantage here. Played here, I believe it was as an amateur at one point, and I don't know. I mean, if you really want to get nitpicky, West Coast Brooks hasn't really been the best coast for him. He's been more of an East Coast guy, but again, it really just is the number here at plus 1100. If he was in the Rory range and a little bit bigger than Scheffler, I would. But if I'm going to the top, I'm just going to Scotty this week.
Yeah, Jeff, that was the Walker Cup he played here in 2017.
Cup, thank you.
Yeah, 2017 Walker Cup. There's a lot of guys in this field that played that event. They're gonna have a bit of an edge just because it's like Spieths and guys like that had played it. Just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, although like Scotty has looked a little lost lately with his putter. But anywho, last question here, guys, right behind Scotty. Scotty atop the odds board here. Last time the U.S. Open was in California, it was Jon Rahm hoisting the trophy. Claimed a green jacket a few months back. You can see on your screen plus 1,000 outright. Not a number we're really looking at, Jeff, but he's cooled, right? At least by his standards. So T50 at the PGA, T16 at Memorial. But there have been some positive signs. What are your expectations for the Spaniard?
I mean, when you look at the course, like if I'm just picking one of the top players, I think who does this fit the best? It kind of is Jon Rahm. It's like you said, the West Coast narrative. This is where the same vicinity where he won his other major, his first major at the Torrey Pines, obviously. And Jon Rahm's played well at Riviera. He just won there last a couple months ago, which is obviously probably the easiest comparison to LA Country Club, although I don't think that they're necessarily that similar. But Jon Rahm at plus 1,000 is the same odds he went off at Torrey Pines when he won the U.S. Open. I mean, it's just really tight between these top three players, really the top two players, because I feel like Scheffler and Rahm, we have that data on them. They've both been really good tee to green. Really, I think there's a pretty good argument that you could just say, well, Rahm's at a bigger price, and he's probably the better putter of the two right now. Maybe I'll just go to Rahm. But I just feel like the way Scheffler's playing out of his mind, and just with his results at the PGA being better than Rahm's and his result at the Memorial, I would rather take the shorter number on Scheffler over Rahm. But again, there's no bad argument here for Jon Rahm. I mean, he is one of the best players in the world. And like I said, I think if you really look at where the setup is and the West Coast narrative, then there's a pretty good argument to be made for him.
Although, Colin, it's fair to wonder, like, if his heater to begin the start of 2023 is beginning to run out of steam.
No, I think he's just sort of taking mental breaks and playing games with himself out there. He'll be ready for the major. For me, look, if Scotty Scheffler makes putts this week, he's your U.S. Open champion. Let's just concede that. Like, if he rolls it, if he finds a way to get his putter unlocked, he's going to win this thing. I don't think there's like any doubt about that. Normally, guys like Jeff and I, we're trying to go down the board. We're trying to find that guy at like 30-1 and 50-1 and like try and hit an outright that way. I don't think that's going to happen this week. This to me feels like there's about 5-6 guys that are in contention this week. And for me, if Scheffler makes putts, he's going to win. If it's not him, I really like Rahm at 10. Rahm was at 9 yesterday. Now he's at 10. I mean, if he got to even like 11, I'm probably just going to fire him at 10. I think he's definitely the best value on the board. There's just too many questions about Scheffler's putter. Rahm has the better all-around game. He's got the length and he's got all the shots. And you talk about flying that ball high out of this U.S. Open rough. Have you seen this rough? Have you seen the videos of this rough?
Oh, yeah, baby.
My God. It's insane. And he's a guy who can get the ball out of there and at least play it a little more under control because of his just pure raw strength. He's got all the shots. So give me Rahm. I think Rahm of the top 5 or 6 on the board, he's my number one choice, especially at this price.
All right, good stuff, guys. Thank you.
That's it, dudes.
What?
I said, that's it, dudes.
Oh, yeah, it is it. And it is Monday, which means
It is Monday,
we have
my
the
dudes.
Monday Mutt Stack. That is going to be coming up next. We're going to talk some NBA, some horse racing as well. Yeah, you wrote that. All right, we'll be right back.
So Nuggets star Nikola Jokic giving his team the series lead, right? But their role players on Friday night taking Denver within one game of its first title thanks to a 27-point explosion from Aaron Gordon. You had clutch shots from Bruce Brown. Denver downing Miami 108-95. Again, on Friday night to go up 3-1 in the NBA Finals, which means the Nuggets can claim their first title tonight in the friendly confines of Ball Arena, where they are 9-1 this postseason. Mike Mutnansky, it is damn good to have you here for a Monday edition of Monday Mutt-Stack. Blown opportunity for the Heat the other night? A little banged up Jokic early on?
Yeah, of course it was. Good morning, guys. Wow, Emerson working on a Monday. What a shock. Wow.
I know. I
Hey,
couldn't believe
dudes,
it
I
either.
know. But hey, I got a golf tournament next Monday, so I won't be here. Anywho.
Some of us will be. Yeah, they blew it. Man, any shot they had, it came down to winning that game, even the series going back. It's now 3-1. And we saw this Heat team in the Celtics series, right? When they're shooting in threes and they're hitting their shots, they're really, really good. When they go cold, they're just not a great team. I give them a lot of credit. They got through the Celtics. They got here. But this thing feels over as soon as tonight. A huge blown opportunity. In fact, looking at the series, outside of that second quarter, guys, in game 2, where Miami was just outrageous offensively, this has been all Denver, and I don't see any difference tonight. I don't see why it would be different tonight. And I suspect there'll be confetti and celebrations and Jokic buying more horses after a Game 5 win tonight for the Nuggets.
Yeah, let's talk about that game tonight. Who's the best DFS play for the showdown? Like, who do you want to put in your captain spot? Jokic, obviously head and shoulders most expensive guy at $24,000 in the captain spot.
Yeah, this is a really interesting game theory one, because I think if you're playing cash games or double ups, it's a lock that Jokic is your guy. In the captain spot, he's just been really, really good. I mean, it's a chance to set all sorts of finals records here, depending on the assist numbers and some of the numbers tonight. So if you're playing double ups in cash, I think it's definitely Jokic. If you're playing in tournaments, if you're trying to get a little bit different, I think the option is Bam Adebayo, who has just been awesome in this series so far. He's going to be $10K less in the captain spot tonight is Bam. He played 44 minutes on Friday night. Eric Spoelstra's played him essentially 40 minutes every single night in this series, and he's got awesome rebounding numbers. And what he does, not only is he a double-double machine, he's going to allow you to get some better players in your lineup. I think if you're playing Jokic, you're sort of stuck with a certain group of players underneath in those flex spots. Bam, some more flexibility. So if I'm playing tournaments tonight, I'm going to captain Bam Adebayo and hope that I get that double-double equity. I don't think you can play both guys. Maybe you play Bam and captain and Jokic, but you're really, really at the bottom of the roster there. So cash and double ups, I'm playing Jokic as a lock. But Bam Adebayo for me is a tournament play. He's somebody I'm going to look at if I'm trying to take down, get to the top of the mountain in a GPP.
Could look at him in the rebounds department, too, when we're talking props on the DK Sportsbook. Mutt, what do you want to do? What is your favorite player prop tonight?
There are a lot of good options tonight, Emerson. I'm going to take as my favorite option, Caleb Martin. You have 10.5 points as his over-under right now in the DK Sportsbook. Even money, plus 100. I'll take Caleb Martin over 10.5 points. He's cleared this, cleared it in his last game. And what's interesting about this prop, guys, is the last 2 games, Spoelstra's played him 32 and 33 minutes respectively. He's starting to play the minutes he played earlier in the playoffs. I suspect tonight it'll be all hands on deck, and I could see him playing 30-plus minutes. If that's the case, I like his number. But you mentioned the double-double opportunity. It's a minus 190 for Bam Adebayo. I like that one as well. And when they eventually post points, rebounds, assists for Caleb Martin on the DK Sportsbook, 14.5, 15.5, I'll play the over on that tonight as well. But 10.5 points, give me the over in Game 5.
All right, Mutt, what's the game bet? You said you think Denver closes this one out tonight.
This is so lame, Jesse. I'm sorry. It's Denver laying the points. You guys tell me, I try to make a case for the toughness of Miami, Jimmy Butler, Heat culture, all that crap. But the reality is, one quarter in this series, they've been really, really good. That's why it's 3-1. And I just don't see it turning around tonight in Game 5. I like Denver's approach, guys. I'm sure you saw Jokic and the entire team saying it's a must-win Game 5 for them. I suspect they'll come out and play well. Maybe a slow start, but in the end, they win going away. It was 8.5 this morning. It's now 9 at the DK Sportsbook. So I'm going to lay the 9 points. It's Denver tonight to get this thing done and to become champions in the NBA.
Mutt, I believe you. I listen to you every time you join us on this show every Monday because you are widely known throughout the business as dishing out winners. You were a winner-only kind of guy, and we have proof of that right now from last week when we were discussing the Belmont.
I'm going to give you a long shot this morning, Jesse. We're going to a horse named Arcangelo, who is going to be about 15 or 20 to 1 in the Belmont Stakes on Saturday. Comes in with a win in the prep race for the Belmont Stakes. Trainer Jenna Antonucci is not a household name, and people who bet on horses want to bet on big-time trainers. Jenna Antonucci is not one of those, but the speed figures of this horse match up with Forte. Buyer speed figure, time form US figures. He's bred to go the distance. He is going to be a huge price in this race in the Belmont Stakes. Arcangelo at 15 to 1 or more on your trifecta tickets. We'll have full coverage all week at mutstack.com. Bro, long shot, Arcangelo.
Okay.
Thank you, Mutt.
Thank you, Mutt.
Thank you,
pat yourself
Mutt.
on the back.
Thank you, Mutt. Thank you, Mutt.
That's why you need to hit mutstack.com and watch the sweat every day. Okay, so Arcangelo takes the third leg of the Triple Crown. Thoughts in general on the Belmont, Mutt?
Played out exactly the way he expected.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really close. I outsmarted myself betting the race, but we got one thing right. Arcangelo was the long shot play. Ended up being 7 or 8 to 1, not 15 to 1. But you still got almost $20 on the winner. Hopefully push people in the right direction last week. Look, the result of the race itself, a good horse that beat a good field. You know, this is a winner that had a nice ground-saving trip on the inside. Career best 102 by her speed figure. Jenna Antonucci, first female trainer to ever win a Triple Crown race. I'm sure you've seen the 2 viral videos from the weekend. You had Jenna Antonucci cheering on her horse down the stretch, and Adam Hadwin getting tackled by a security guard there up in Canada to try to spray Nick Taylor with champagne. But that was a really good video and a pretty good result. Personally, I needed the Forte, the horse that ran second, to be out of the number. I loved Arcangelo. I loved Tapit Trice. They ran first and third. So it could have been a great day for my DK horse account. Ended up being a good day, but we were on the winner and a pretty good Triple Crown run from mutstack.com. No one else wants to celebrate me, guys. Thank you both for letting me
we got
30
you.
seconds.
Obviously.
The last winner I've ever had.
We
to
got
celebrate
you.
Here on the
You know
show.
what we're not celebrating is the audio issues from this broadcast, though.
That was
How
rough.
bad did the broadcast drop the ball here, Mutt? Because we know, listen, I'm a casual. I'm tuning into basically 3 races a year here, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Let's get it together. We never have issues like that here at DK.
Never.
No, not at all. Absolutely not. It was not a good first attempt for Fox at a Triple Crown race. They just signed an 8-year deal to carry the Belmont Stakes, and they air a lot of races, guys, 1,000 hours of race coverage. So I thought the coverage would be better. It was choppy back and forth. The presentation was just okay. The graphics as a horse player were just okay. But you mentioned the sound. Awful sound in that final race, the Belmont Stakes, for Tom Durkin brought out of retirement to call the race. And I've done a little bit of editing and production at mutstack.com, so I recognize how hard it is, and thank you behind the scenes people for making us look good. But you got to have the sound better. And Fox has done this for years. You guys remember, in World Series, the zoom-ins of crowd shots. They're obsessed with the crowd. The crowd sound was way too much. When you can't hear the announcer calling the stretch of a Triple Crown race, you've made a mistake. You only get 4 of these a year: Derby, Preakness, Belmont, and Breeders' Cup, to get it right. And you hate to have the next day people just burying you on social media left and right, but I think really that was the case here. They deserve the criticism. It should have been better. I wouldn't call it a step back for the presentation, because you had $118 million bet on the day of races there at Belmont, $56 million on the Belmont Stakes itself. But hopefully they get the sound figured out. Way too loud in the crowd, and it made for a not great viewing experience for the biggest race of the day, 7 o'clock Eastern time, the Belmont Stakes.
All right, perfect segue there. Again, Triple Crown's done, like we mentioned, but a lot of racing still to happen this summer, Mutt. So what are some of the other big races you're going to be watching, you're going to be writing about?
Yeah, it was kind of a weird Triple Crown year, quite frankly. The Preakness was a short subscribe race, only 1 Derby horse. We had deaths of horses in all 3 Triple Crown days, so that was not good. Heading into the summer, I'll be curious how the public responds to what we saw, some of those horse deaths over the course of the Triple Crown run. And the Triple Crown, schedule itself. They need to stretch this thing out. 1st of May, 1st of June, 1st of July is the way you should do this thing heading into the summer. They haven't done that yet. But this summer, these 3-year-olds, Jesse, look really good. Arcangelo, the Belmont winner. Forte ran second. He was the Derby favorite, got scratched. Mage is still very young on races and has a lot of talent and upside. We had a horse named Disarm, who was 4th in the Derby, came back to win a big race yesterday at Churchill Downs. So from a horse racing standpoint, these 3-year-olds heading into the summer with the Haskell, the Travers, and the Pennsylvania Derby in July, August, September, that's what's worth focusing on if you're a racing fan. Full coverage at muttstack.com of that as well. I'm sure a lot more to talk about as you get towards maybe Emerson, DeAndre Hopkins season in New England. Maybe.
Oh, I don't know. Is he a future Patriot? It looked like the Titans were really entertaining him on a nice limo ride there to the stadium.
Yeah, and actually we'll pay him money, unlike Bill Belichick, who probably wants him at
For
a
sure.
discount. But it's fun to dream for a couple of days. He's going to take a visit in. You can have some fun with it, and maybe eventually they'll get a number 1 receiver. So a lot to talk about heading into the summer.
Yep. My Jags have multiple number 1 receivers, but we're out of time. We got to wrap. Mutt, love you. We'll see you later, buddy.
Bye, guys.
'Twas the
Thank you.
takedown heard round the world. Mutt just mentioned it. Adam Hadwin going down on the green at the Canadian Open. And guess what? One of our hockey analysts was there to witness it all. He will also dish out some hockey picks for us. Game 5 tomorrow night. That's next. All right, so game 4 of the Stanley Cup final, going to the Golden Knights, who now hold a commanding 3-1 lead. And this series will now shift back to Las Vegas. That will be tomorrow night for game 5. And yes, just 1 game away the Golden Knights are from hoisting Lord Stanley. Let's dive into some game 5 picks, shall we?
Wait.
Well, hold on. I wanted to introduce our panel first.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Anna Dua, that's
AJ.
AJ Schultz. But punch up Paul Bruno. Paul Bruno, we heard you were at the Canadian Open yesterday.
Yeah.
All right. Tons of storylines there. You have to describe to me the atmosphere. You got to watch one of your fellow compatriots win that tournament. A Canadian winning the Canadian Open for the first time in like 7 decades, dude.
Well, this is great that it's a hockey segment because it felt like a hockey crowd. It was really celebratory. I mean, I was there on the 6th hole with about 40 other people at the time watching Nick Taylor take his first lead of the tournament. So I can say I was really a part of the go-ahead goal, let's say, sequence when he dropped about a 15-footer right. He was about 20 yards away from me when he did it. And it was just a great moment. And I thought, well, this is a great story. He had a 9 under par the day before, and he's having another great round. Maybe he'll be in contention. And lo and behold, the history books have to be rewritten here in Canada because the streak is over.
Yeah, you guys can't win a Stanley Cup, but hey.
It's all good. And Anna, listen, that was 4 extra holes, so that would have been 4 calzones for you to eat within
God.
like 45 minutes.
I know I should have done it, but absolutely unreal. I'm in Toronto right now. I got here yesterday, but watching that, it was just insane. It's great to see that happen. Canadian golf is just taking another level, and it's been a really good year for Canadian golf so far, but that was just the cherry on top. It was that final putt was unreal. I'm still like reliving it in my head today.
All right, well, let's talk some hockey. That's why
I am fine with
that's
that.
why we
I would
brought you
like
guys
that,
on.
actually.
So Vegas takes Game 4, heads back to Vegas, looking to hoist the cup. Anna, biggest takeaway from this Game 4, like just a commanding lead for the Vegas Golden Knights here.
Yeah, I think Vegas has showcased that they're the better team throughout the series. Even with the OT win, it seems like Vegas has a lot of the momentum in every single game throughout every single period. And last game, I feel like that was the final nail in the coffin for the Florida Panthers. It's tough to recover a 3-1 deficit. Vegas wants to win in 5. They lost in 5 the last time they were in the Stanley Cup final, but I think it's going the other way this time.
All right, Paul, what do we think?
You know what? I'm on side. Finally, I'm coming on board the Vegas train. They got the all-important first goal in that last game in Florida to kind of turn the tables, and that kind of set the tone. But what surprised me this whole series is the way that they have taken down the Florida forecheck, which dominated all 3 previous series wins for the Panthers. But the Knights have really moved the puck quickly out of their own end to avoid that heavy forecheck and get their offensive game going. 5-on-5, they're the best team in these playoffs, and they showed it once again. And it doesn't hurt when their power play starts to wake up too, and took the measure of the Panthers each game in this series that way.
All right, AJ, toot toot, all aboard the Vegas train.
Yeah, 3 for 3 here. This series is over and done with. Especially if Matthew Tkachuk can't play, that would be a just devastating blow to the Florida Panthers. One I don't think they could overcome. Not that I think they're going to come back anyway, even if he does play. And look, the one game that they've won so far, he didn't get a misconduct. So, they're just struggling to, keep him in line. So his efforts, the last one was at the end of the game. It didn't really impact anything there. But overall, if he's not playing, he's not going to produce for them. And that we saw that in the other games when he was out for misconduct time. And we'll see that again if he's out for injury time now.
And Anna, we have Chandler Stevenson here really powering the Golden Knights to the brink of their first Stanley Cup. Who is atop your Conn Smythe rankings right now, the leader in the clubhouse?
It has to be Jonathan Marchessault. I think what he's done for this club since their series against Edmonton can't be discounted, but there's a lot of players on Vegas who are in the race still. Aiden Hill, I think, deserves a nod at least. He's been phenomenal for this team and is a big reason why they're here. And Chandler Stevenson is another guy I'm taking a look at, especially after last game, because he was on the other side of the ice in that 2018 Stanley Cup final that I mentioned for Washington, but he's been such a great player for Vegas, especially in this series in the Stanley Cup final. So if he keeps it going, it's honestly a little bit up in the air, but I think right now it's Jonathan Marchessault's trophy to lose.
Okay, I feel like he's going to be the favorite on most of y'all's list here, but AJ, give me someone who could have like a hell of a performance on Tuesday night and actually overcome him.
I mean, I really think the only possible way would be for Florida to come back in this series.
Okay.
That's the only way somebody else is going to get it. And then in that case, maybe Tkachuk or Bobrovsky is in play at that point. But I just don't see a scenario where anybody else on the Golden Knights, even if Eichel finally scored a goal, I just don't see that being enough to supplant Marchessault as a favorite here.
All right, Paul, who could overtake him in the driver's seat for the Conn Smythe?
No. Look, I agree with the others that he's definitely the favorite right now, but can you imagine if Aiden Hill pitches a shutout or one goal against with a high shot volume? That goals against heading into tonight's contest, 2-11 on the whole playoffs to date. That's remarkable numbers for a team we've been talking about all their offensive exploits. He's been holding the fort pretty well on in the net, and not too many people talking about him, but he should get serious consideration. But Marchessault, 5 goals clear of Stone, who's another candidate. Eichel has had the great points. Marchessault has to be the leader right now, but I think Aiden Hill with a big game could overtake him tonight.
All right, AJ, moving to Game 5. Who's going to be your DFS captain in this one?
Well, I've shied away from using the goaltenders, but I do think this is an opportunity where it might be worth paying up for. I think this panel will agree, Aiden Hill. as the potential winner. If you're on Florida, obviously take Bobrovsky. I think in this one we've seen a few, fewer goals, just 5 goals in each of the last 2. I would expect a little more of a tight, defensive game as they try and close this out. So I do think this is your chance to pay up for a guy like Aiden Hill.
Anna, do you agree?
I do agree with AJ. I think Aiden Hill is a no-brainer in this one, especially with the momentum Vegas has. But if you're choosing a skater, take a look at Chandler Stevenson, who we just talked about. He's had a point in 3 of the first 4 games of the Stanley Cup final. He has 11 shots on goal across his last 3 games, 2 multi-point games so far in this series as well. And obviously the 2-goal night he had in the last matchup. So I think he's a great value. You can get a lot of great players in your lineup if you're taking Chandler Stevenson, but he's my pick if you're not going with Aiden Hill.
All right, Paul, what do we think, man?
I think both of my peers have covered a lot of the talking points, but I'm going to talk stats with you here. When you're talking about a 1-game slate in the DFS play, the goalie win has to be the most sought after aspect. So that's first factor. Second factor, not too many 2-goal games in these playoffs in the final round. There was one in the last game, but even then, a good goalie score will beat that. So I'm going with Aiden Hill to make it a trio of us.
All right, Paul, who else needs to be in your lineup, though, besides Hill?
Well, you got to include Marchessault for sure, leading the pack in terms of scoring. Stone, the heart and soul of this club, he's got to be a factor too. And then I'll add Pietrangelo, the big minute guy on the blue line. He's going to be a factor in there and a lot of the offense that they generate. So those 3 guys have to be strong considerations. And then that leaves room still, if you want to be a contrarian, to pick a couple of the Vegas players. But those 3 guys need to be in there in addition to the goalie.
All right, Anna, who you stuffing in your lineup besides Stevenson?
I'm actually taking a look at Zach Whitecloud. I think he's a really great value for the Vegas Golden Knights. He has points in 3 of the first 4 games of this series as well. He's been really sneakily solid for the Vegas Golden Knights team despite being on their 3rd defensive pairing, and I like him for the value he's at. So in addition to all of the guys Paul just mentioned, I feel like he's a good little sneaky pickup to add to your lineup. And on the other side of the ice, I'm taking a look at Anton Lundell if you want to get a Florida Panther in there. I think he's due. He has points in 3 of the first 4 games as well. I keep saying that, 1 goal, 2 assists, and at least 3 shots on goal in the 3 games he's had points in so far this series. So if you want to get a Florida Panther in the lineup, maybe take a look at him.
Whitecloud, just $3,800. AJ, you have Aiden Hill as your captain. Who else is in your lineup?
Everybody that they literally just mentioned.
Perfect.
Yeah, so just to throw another name out there, I do like Aaron Ekblad here. 25 shots on the series, or in the playoffs rather, 7 points here. So he's a nice kind of value option, a little bit lower down the price range, just as another option for your Florida pick. But I think you stack the Golden Knights tonight, use a bunch of the guys that Paul and Anna mentioned, and that should be the key to success here.
All right, Anna, what chance are we giving Florida to extend the series? Like, no chance? What do we
little
think?
bit of a chance,
Maybe,
a
so you're
medium
saying there's a
chance.
chance. I don't know.
It's tough, guys, because I think the Florida Panthers had such a great Cinderella story run, but AJ brought up a great point about Tkachuk, and we know that Sasha Barkov's also been a bit battered this postseason, and they've just dealt with so many injuries at this point, and Vegas is carrying all of the momentum. It seems like nothing's breaking that squad right now, so I think there is like a little glimmer of hope, but I really do think Vegas has all the momentum heading into Game 5, and I would not be surprised at all if 5 games is all it takes for Vegas to win the Stanley Cup.
AJ, do you see that glimmer of hope, or are you just not about that life?
No, not about it here. Maybe if Tkachuk plays, but if he's not on the ice, absolutely not. But yeah, 5%. That's all I'm giving them. It is all Vegas. They're going to do it at home, which is going to be huge. That crowd is going to be absolutely rocking. It's going to be a tough atmosphere for Florida to try and go in and win a game.
All right, Paul, over or under 5%? What do you think?
I'm right there with AJ. I mean, they did get the 3 game. They did come back from the 3-1 deficit against Boston, but the stakes are much higher in the finals, and you've got to believe that they're feeling the losses more in this series than they did in the first round against Boston. So they got to be feeling down about the fact that they blew Game 4 and a real chance to extend this series, and that their butts are against the banister, as they say. And I just don't see them coming back at this stage in the series. I think it's Vegas party time tonight.
All right, you three. Appreciate it. One more block to go, one more break to go. Tanner Kern will join us to dish out some MLB best bets, and we have proof that he knows what he is doing.
Tanner Kern is here with us
Wow.
joining the program because
Hey,
we have
hey,
to
hey.
talk about today's Major League Baseball slate. So
Okay.
we're going to get your bets that you're rolling with,
Yeah.
Tanner. Are you okay? You're like showing me your...
No, I'm not actually showing you anything. I'm just moving because
All
I have
right.
ADHD.
Ignore Emerson. Tanner, let's start with runs. So which game are you going to be targeting that you feel like is going to hit the over here?
So I'm going to look at the over of 8 runs in the Giants versus Cardinals game. San Francisco's coming off a 13-run performance against the Cubs, and the Cardinals have gone over in 2 of their past 3 games. The offense is clicking right now, and hopefully it can click tonight. Logan Webb's going to take the ball for the Giants. He's been pretty solid this season, but he has allowed 7 runs in his past 12 innings of work, so there are some flaws in this game. But the pitcher who does need to give up the majority of the runs tonight is Matthew Liberatore of the Cardinals. Liberatore's got a 6 ERA and a 1.6 whip, only in 15 innings, but he has walked 8 batters over the span. He doesn't have elite strikeout ability, and he's definitely not a pitcher I want to bet on for an under. So I'm going to lean towards the over here. Both teams have a lot of pop in their lineup, 1 through 9. So it's a low total. I'm going to take a chance on it.
All right, let's stick with the O. Let's stick with the offense. A hitter prop you are looking at right now, Tanner Kern.
So I got my Red Sox jersey on. I got to show
Yeah,
some
you
love
do.
to Boston. Taking a series from the New York Yankees. Got to love that. Masataka Yoshida didn't do anything in that series, but I think he responds tonight and has a very good game at home against the Rockies. I like him to go over 1.5 total bases. If you want to go a little riskier here for plus money, you can take his hits, runs, plus RBI bet, but I'm going to stay safe here, minus 115 over 1.5 total bases. He's 12th in baseball right now with 300 batting average. He's crushed righties this season as well, and that's bad news for Connor Siebold, who is a righty on the bump tonight. He's got a worse ERA on the road than he does at home, which is pretty amazing considering he pitches at Coors Field. 5.4 ERA in 18 innings of work on the road. Yoshida can crush him tonight. 6 of his 7 home runs have come off right-handed pitching. He's batting .313 off righties compared to .262 off lefties. So this is a matchup made in heaven as long as Yoshida can bounce back.
My guy has me convinced.
All right, well, before I ask you about a home run prop, let's revisit the last time that you dished out one of these bets. Ooh.
So when we're looking at home runs today, I think there's one way that you have to go. And these odds are relatively short for a home run prop, but I still love them. Yordan Alvarez to go yard today at plus 275. He's 6th in baseball in homers with 15 on the season. And he's got a great chance to add his 16th today against Alek Manoah. When we look at Manoah, he's forgotten how to pitch this season. Quite frankly, it's simple as that. He's allowed 5 homers in his past 5 games. Hasn't made it out of the 4th inning 4 times in his past 5 games. And then 10 of Alvarez's 15 home runs this season have also come off righties, which really helps us here because Manoah is a righty. We look at Alvarez, he's so good at making adjustments at the plate. I think he's going to be able to make one tonight. We know that Manoah is going to make mistakes, and Yordan is good enough to take advantage of every single one of them.
All right.
Alrighty.
You gave us Yordan Alvarez last week, so no pressure to hit again here, Tanner.
Yeah, I mean, first off, just shout out to the awesome production team at the Sweat. I mean, that was great flashback there.
Yeah.
It's bringing good vibes. I got the same jersey on. We're feeling good right now. We're going to make it 2 for 2 on the home run prop. Jesus Luzardo has allowed 4 home runs in his past 5 starts, and this span also includes 14 earned runs. Just simply hasn't been getting the job done, and he's going to have a tough challenge in Seattle tonight. The wind's blowing out, and I'm going to lead towards a little bit longer odds this week and take Jared Kelenic to go yard for plus 650. Kelnic's batting .305 off lefties this season compared to just .250 off righties, and the power has come from both sides of the plate for Kelenic. He's gone yard once in every 14 at-bats against left-handed pitching compared to once in every 23 at-bats off righties. So the matchup is there for him to go yard tonight. Luzardo, if he misses spots, Kelnick's good enough to take advantage of it and leave the yard. So I'm going to take a chance on him for plus 650. Definitely doesn't have the same pop as Jordan, but it's a good chance that he makes it 2 for 2 tonight. Thanks to the video from the sweat, thanks to the jersey. We're feeling good. We're ready to go.
No problem. Jesse and I are happy to help anytime you would like help. On the other side of this, maybe a game you're not feeling all the offense, all the taters. Give me one you're looking at the under for.
So I am feeling like there's going to be some offense in the Red Sox-Rockies game, but I still think the total's slightly inflated just considering how Boston has hit over the past few games. And the Rockies really haven't been delivering on offense either. We know Boston hits the ball well at home, but when it came to their run scoring in the Bronx, it was very limited. They only scored 12 runs in their past 5 games. And they're going to face Connor Siebold tonight. Connor Siebold, not the best pitcher in the world, someone Boston can hit. But I just got to go with the trends here and say the Red Sox offense has not been delivering, and I don't think they can put up enough to get it to 10 runs. It might be a little bit of a sweat, so if you don't want to sweat, you might want to stay away from this one, but I think it's going to go 8-9 runs in that range. James Paxton for Boston, good enough to limit what Colorado can do on offense. 2-1 with a 3.81 ERA, 1.23 WHIP. 26 innings, he's only allowed 23 hits, and he's had 36 strikeouts. So that elite strikeout ability is something else to look at when taking it under here. Colorado might get guys on the bases, but if he can get some punch outs, that's going to limit their run scoring as well. So I think we're in that 8 to 9 run range here. For 10 runs, I think it's worth taking a chance on going under in this game.
All right, Tanner, how about a pitcher prop that you like tonight?
So I really like Zach Eflin tonight of the Tampa Bay Rays. He's just been delivering, and this entire Rays team has been delivering, especially in their starting rotation. He's gone over a strikeout total of 5.5 in 3 of his past 5 games, 66 Ks in 66 innings, so 1 per inning. I fully intend on him being on the mound 6 innings today against the Oakland Athletics. Probably the hottest team in baseball. I want to give them some credit. The hottest team in baseball, the Oakland Athletics. They're on a massive heater right now, but they're still striking out throughout that massive heater. They struck out 29 times over the weekend, even though they swept the Brewers. The A's are 5th most in Major League Baseball in strikeouts with 616 this season. And Eflin and the Rays should just continue to roll through Oakland. I love the Athletics. They're fun to watch, I guess, sometimes. They're fun to bet against. They're fun to take the run line against. So I'll tell you that. It's pretty profitable. But I think their luck comes to an end tonight, and Eflin shoves.
The Oakland A's on a massive heater was not on my 2023 bingo card, Tanner. But what is your favorite game bet tonight?
So I have one bet that I love tonight on the money line. It's probably the only bet that I really love on the money line, and it's the Giants. Logan Webb has struggled in his past couple of starts, but he's so much better than Matthew Liberatore. The strikeout ability is there for Webb. It's not there for Liberatore, and that's the reason I want to bet on him tonight, because both offenses are pretty decent. You look at the Cardinals, they're just 13-18 at home. They're 27-39 on the season, and they haven't proven to me that they can win consistently. Giants are a 500 team in a very good National League West division. If you stick them in the National League Central, they'd be really, really good. So that's another thing to look at there. They have the pop, they have the power, and they have the pitching. And this is the stat that I'm really looking at here. Giants have a 3.95 team ERA compared to the Cardinals at a 4.28. And the St. Louis pitching staff has also walked 50 more batters this season than the Giants. I think San Francisco is going to take advantage of these mistakes. If they get the free passes, we know they have a lot of power in their bats. Leave the yard, couple RBIs there with it, a lot of runs scored. Cardinals can't match it.
All right, Tanner, we love it. Thank you so much for laying down the
Later,
knowledge
dude.
for today's MLB slate. That is a show.
If people like baseball, tomorrow is a damn good show to catch.
Yes, it's the Tuesday Takeover with Jared Carabas.
It'll be
that
5
will
o'clock on the DraftKings network.
Yes, you can tune in at 5 p.m. for that
Which is a channel.
So we'll be back tomorrow for that, and we'll see you then.
Okay.